such as this airport might need some renovations to make it look cool.
Thank you. So to better understand the unique value propositions of the airport, we also took into consideration, as you said, the customer feedback reports, and we came up with 3 recommendations for the YYC. So the first recommendation is band space. And what band space is all about is just creating conducive environments, rest areas where we also have vending machines available and customers can relax and also purchase items. So the desired outcome for this would be to increase the sales from vending machines and to improve the customer service feedback. Our reasoning is that it caters to a specific demographic of travelers. They are budget travelers, and it entices the travelers to spend money at the machines because it's a lot cheaper and more affordable than having to go to a restaurant, as well as convenience. Thirdly, it requires very minimal space throughout the airport, so if we can see any areas where it would be beneficial, it's a lot easier to put out there. And lastly, it's very low operational cost, which can entice companies that are risk adverse into going inside the airport markets. Now that we take those key considerations for implementation, it would be best to identify the spaces in which we can strategically place the machines, as well as the source for interesting, unique, and special machines that really create those moments for people traveling to Calgary, such as Souvenir, which is currently very popular in the United States. And lastly, we should make it so that there's multi-currency payments so that you can make it more convenient for travelers coming from different countries and also create more profit for the airline. So taking the second recommendation would be the Spirit of Calgary. So what's the Spirit of Calgary? What we're trying to say is that we're designing the airport so that we can bring in the culture and the history of Calgary so the people that are doing connections can have a better idea what Calgary is about and perhaps come to the airport. Also, it just improves customer experience because people want to see their country and they're very passionate here in Calgary. And our reason is just if there's space through the airport where it would be beneficial, we can have different activities as well. Also, we already have complementing attires like the white hats, so it would be more representative of the airport as a whole. Thirdly, the thematic events would also benefit, such as Canada's holiday like 1st of July, which is the Independence, right? And it will overall increase revenue because not only people that are traveling and doing connecting flights or people that are traveling abroad come and see this, it would also locals come around to just take pictures and enjoy a good time. Okay, so the key considerations for the implementation would be to identify where the empty spaces are throughout. And secondly, it would be to partner with local agencies and tourist boards so that there can be more events in the airport. Lastly is to partner with concessions and to introduce promotions through these events, so to cater to the locals as well. Okay,
Thank you, Carlos. So our third recommendation is this campaign known as the multi-party marketing campaign. So it involves partnering with 3 key partners, namely the airlines, the concession partners within the airport, and lastly, the tourism industry. So for the first one, partnership with the tourism industry, an example could be to introduce a lucky draw for passengers. So every month, a winner can be picked up, and then they can enjoy free admissions to the tourism site within Calgary. And they will be automatically enrolled into this program if they are taking a connecting flight through Calgary, or if they have Calgary as the final destination. And when partnering with concessions, one idea could be that if passengers spend a minimum of 50 Canadian dollars within the airport, they can also stand a chance to be enrolled in this lucky draw. This will not only attract passengers to spend, but also locals who are just going to the airport to shop. And lastly, we're partnering with airlines. An example could be to work with the airlines to see whether air miles that are collected by passengers through the loyalty programs, whether or not can these be exchanged for e-vouchers that can only be spent exclusively within Calgary Airport. So the desired outcomes from this marketing campaign will, of course, firstly, to encourage passengers to take more connecting flights through the airport, and secondly, to increase the revenue from the concessions. And the reasons why we feel that this campaign will be successful is because it creates a win-win situation, not just for the airport, but also for the various partners involved. And because of that, we feel that the different partners will also play a part by sharing the marketing costs, and therefore this lowers the marketing costs for Calgary Airport. Thirdly, it also allows the airport to grow existing relationships with the various partners, and of course to collect passenger data for the purpose of administrating this campaign. In order to implement this campaign successfully, we have identified a few key considerations. So the first one would be that the airport needs to identify tourism partners and negotiate sponsorship deals. So for example, if Lake Louise would like to sponsor the lucky draw prizes, what the airport can do would be to give them perhaps free advertisement space within the airport for a certain period of time. So this is one example of a sponsorship deal that can be in place. Secondly, the airport can work with local F&B vendors, bring them into the airport. And what they can do as part of the campaign could be something like if they spend in a Calgarian food outlet, this will double the chance for them for the lucky draw. And lastly, they can identify airline partners which have established loyalty programs that they can leverage on as part of this marketing campaign. So now that you have a better understanding of the 3 recommendations that my team have, so to conclude, we would like to actually go through an implementation timeline to see how these 3 recommendations can actually be implemented over 5 years. So a quick summary of the 3 recommendations: they are van space, Spirit of Calgary, as well as a multi-party marketing campaign. So for van space, we feel that within the first 2 years, the airport needs to constantly source and engage interesting vending machine vendors to see whether they can be brought into the space. And of course, they should also identify suitable space for the rest area. In 2022, a pilot test can be carried out where you have van space in one airport area. And if it is successful, the airport can actually expand and implement van spaces in other earmarked areas in the airport. But of course, the airport should constantly review the performance of these vending machines and review and adjust the offerings accordingly based on passenger feedback. For the Spirit of Calgary, we feel that in the 5 years, okay, it is important for the airport to constantly engage relevant agencies who might be interested to introduce exhibits or to organize thematic events for the airport. And of course, during this period, active marketing needs to be in place through social media or various channels so as to create hype for the events. But in particular, within the first 2 years, the airport should also identify suitable spaces for exhibits and booths. And we feel that in 2022 will be a good time for the airport to launch their first thematic event. And in subsequent years, we feel that these thematic events can be carried out more frequently, perhaps 2 to 3 times in a year. Lastly, for the multi-party marketing campaign, we feel that in the first 2 years, it is a very important time frame because that is where the airport can engage suitable airlines, concessions, or tourism industries to discuss partnership opportunities, and of course to finalize the marketing campaign concept for this campaign. And in 2022, it can also be the year where the airport first implements the marketing campaign. And in subsequent years, they should constantly adjust this marketing campaign, like in terms of the rules of the lucky draw, or even to add in new participating outlets. And of course, this has to be constantly reviewed to see how this marketing campaign has increased passenger numbers as well as sales figures. And with that, I'm proud to say that we have come to the end of our presentation, and we have a little surprise for you. 1, 2, 3. Yahoo! Thank you.
Q&A sessions? Okay. If you go back to the slide that has the summary of your timeline and presentations, quite often in the airport, we're trying to balance out the relative impact of the financial benefit of doing something versus the guest benefit, the benefit to the experience. When you went through these ideas, if you had to pick one of these ideas based on which would be the best for guest experience, and one of these based on which would be the best financial outcome for the airport, pick the same one for both, or not, and why?
Okay, so in this aspect, when we did the feedback research, we looked into the good things about the airport, and there's many things, especially the people, for example, white hats in ceremonies and all that. That really makes Calgary unique. And in some ways, it would be great to expand that into an exhibit about what hack is all about, because a lot of people will travel to the airport and they will not see the people in that area. And for us, we saw a lot of comments. I read a lot of comments without doing the research. And for the most part, there's a lot of good things that people say, but we're trying to take the bad things because we gotta show you the symptoms, like a doctor, of how we can solve the problem.
So it will be the Spirit of Calgary if you're talking about one that will actually be good for passenger experience.
Right.
But if you're talking about financial value, I think the best one would perhaps be van space. Because it actually caters to a group of passengers who would otherwise just be lazing around, like idling, and they would just want to find an area to rest. So van space actually creates an avenue for passengers to spend even though they're resting. Because when you see these interesting vending machines at the quiet areas, you'll be enticed to go over there and spend. And there's also a good opportunity for you to bring in new like partners, and of course charge them for renting the vending machine on the space. Yeah, but of course we feel that the campaign will help to complement all these efforts.
Yeah, because for the campaign, it's very useful, just because you can use your partners to do some of the marketing, and you got benefits, so you can use those vouchers at the same time. Do you want to read it?
Well, really, I really like the idea of the Spirit of Calgary. Well, I'm from Ecuador, so I didn't know what Calgary was about. And when I came here, see the people with the hats, I was really surprised. I didn't expect that. So many people like me don't know about it, and it would be great that in the airport, even if you have a connected life, it would be really awesome, like to be like, hey, I want to come to the city again, but to visit it. That's what I think about it.
Any other questions?
I actually have one. It's around the marketing campaign. Actually, just curious if you have any initial thoughts on how you would get the message out in other municipalities and locations, in consistency with that message. Are there any particular channels or mediums for the advertising you think would be the most effective?
I think the most effective way would actually to be tapping on the platforms that our partners already have. Because I believe the airport yourself, you might not have a huge marketing platform. So it's good actually to leverage on what your partners have. So when you partner with them, they can also help you with this advertisement. So I think that would be one way to really spread the message.
Like point of sale.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's a win-win because you advertise for them, they also advertise for you.
Any other questions?
I think 15 minutes for each team, so.
Very good, thanks.
Okay,
Well done.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It looks a little close to Gaucho.
Yeah. My family's from Mexico, so I
Yeah.
it's already part of the culture.
You're right, yeah.
So this is
Okay.
Are you socializing here?
Oh, yeah, I'm just waiting.
Let's try that up then.
Thank you. Oh my God. I'm glad we're
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Oh, you can let it open. Thank you.
Oh, I think so. That's something. That's why I said it's pretty. That's one thing that's nice.
I have some instructions for you before we start. Okay, so you have 12 minutes. Okay, presentation, 3 minutes for question and answer. I'm gonna raise a time card. Okay, when you have 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left, and 30 seconds. When I do this, it's over. You can finish your sentence. Okay, and then we are going to open for questions and answers. Do you have any video here?
Yeah, but it's inside.
It's inside the presentation.
Yeah, it's at that always PowerPoint slides or Google slides. Yeah, the video will not work. Will not work, and I think loaded first. You need to check that. You can go.
You can let it loading, I think.
Yeah, it's not. You need to, is it possible to sign into Google Docs because it will run
Okay.
on the slide? I send you the link.
Sure.
You have like this. You just want to send it to your personal
It's not
site.
working.
Why did you sign it?
You have to build that for marketing materials. Actually, you don't get to do these.
And it's just,
Fund your own
it's
site.
like a presentation that people works with the
It was-
paper.
it was good.
Yeah, sure. Where,
Yeah, that's- No, actually, that wasn't.
the one
I didn't
in
really.
the-
Wasn't that great. Um, Learning how to Who said what? No, this will get it. I'm not worried about it.
No, I already did it.
That's right.
It already was.
There you go.
How many pages is shall instruct? Priest.
Awesome. Yeah, great.
You guys ready? Okay, that's all.
Hi, good afternoon, Calgary Airport. We are Team 12. I'm Mary from Finland. I'm Courtney from the United States. I'm Carolina from Brazil.
And I'm Samantha from Canada.
And when we came with a five-year plan, we did just focus on the money. Of course, we want to grow in the revenue, but we also want to use the airport as a vessel to showcase Calgary. Our plan here was to use the airport to showcase Calgary's rich history, its vibrant with innovative people, and also showcase the Calgary in a way that people want to come back to the airport and visit Calgary as well. We also kept in mind the scenario. You come to the airport, you're tired, you're hungry, you have to go to the restroom, and you don't know where your gate is. Well, if you're in Calgary Airport, it's not a problem. You take out your phone, you pull out your app, and all your phones are solved. So Carol is now going to explain our drone app.
So that's the prototype that we have developed for your company. So if here you have the sign part where we can gather important data from the passengers such as age, country. Here is all the flight information in only one place. Here's the airport map. It's an interactive map where you can choose between your arrivals, departures. Here we have all the food options with opening time and also their location. And also we have the app menu with all the features. So you can choose to look at the stores, or maybe you want to check the discount options. So you have, for example, 15% off that store and 30% off the other one. Then we have the transport. So am I going to the hotel by the bus, by the car, by Uber? How am I going to do it? Here's the chat part where you can directly contact airport authorities and have real-time answers. And that's the survey part where we can get all the data from. Finally, we have this part that is called Enjoy. So it's personalized marketing. So basically, the stores and restaurants you most attend to is going to show up here.
So moving on to customer experience. So the negative feedback online is mostly concentrating on few specific things. People are complaining about the staff being rude or untrained, and also about having to wait a long time in lines. The one thing that also came up multiple times was the airport being poorly run or structured and the design being bad. So we would like to offer you a few solutions to the long lines. So first of all, through the app, you can have the boarding pass on it. So you can scan it through quickly and get to the security gates. And your guests will also have an opportunity to order their food online through the app. So when they're at the security gate, they can already decide what to eat and then just pick it up or dine in at the restaurants later. So they don't have to wait in lines. The last thing is that you want to keep your guests notified. So you're going to send them like notifications through the app. Your flight is leaving in 60 minutes or your boarding is starting in 15 minutes. So that way they can plan their time at the airport more better.
When it comes to employees, it's really important to pay attention to 4 different topics. So the first one is the recruitment process. So basically, by having a really strong company culture and an attractive recruitment process, the company will be recognized as a really good one to work in and will then attract more talented people. The second one is onboarding. So it's basically the first few days that the worker will have at the company. So it can be like essential training, like ethics, some introduction to the history of the company, the career development, structure, payment system. Then we have rewarding. So that's to reward the most important employees that have exceptional work, not only by financial means, but also by giving them a thank you video and also a handwriting note recognition, maybe airplane tickets. And then we have the human resources dynamics. So the purpose of it is to have a better employee teams. So for example, they will know better about themselves, what are their strengths, their weaknesses, and more about each other. So they will more likely recognize the importance of having diversity inside the company.
You want to also offer your guests an opportunity to give feedback easily on the app. So this way you can also gather important information on how you can develop your actions even furthermore.
So in regards to passenger volume, you expressed an interest to attract more passengers from Asian countries. So through our research, we found that one of the best ways to attract customers from Asian countries would be to make sure that their needs are not only met, but they're prioritized because they like to feel like they're traveling in luxury. So through dynamic bundling, data is collected within the app from previous trips so that restaurants, shops, and leisure activities are recommended so that passengers can optimize their time in Calgary. It's really customizable, so it can be applied to any sort of traveler, whether you're looking for discounts, whether you're traveling on business, or you're looking for an adventure.
Okay, now we're going to move on to non-aeronautical revenue. We want to go ahead and support and also increase your main form of revenue, which is airport parking and rental cars. Using the app, it's going to have the ability for guests to go ahead and pay for parking using your phone. They don't have to stop on their way in. It's already done with the phone. In addition to that, they're already going to have the receipt and the parking ticket on their phone, so they don't have to worry about keeping up with the slip of paper. We have little charts here that shows that when you pay with your phone, it's becoming the new form of paying. Nobody wants to take out a card anymore. They can just click a button and it's done. That's what's becoming innovative. We also want to increase food and beverage. Also using the app, the phone will ping its location into the map and it will show what's near me. Is there a Starbucks? Is there a Tim Hortons? Is it by the bathroom? How close and how far away is it from my gate? Instead of people just sitting down, I don't want to get up and look for a map myself. I'm not going to use anybody. So if they're able to click on their phone, they're more likely to pay and use things nearby them. And we also want to increase your engagement, which will also help increase customers, which also increases revenue by creating an Instagram page. We chose Instagram because it has a 5 times higher engagement than Facebook. It has 8 million active users and it's growing. You can also post pictures of events and use the hashtag, whether it's YYC Stampede, YYC anything, and they'll be able to click on the app, look at more pictures, and it will also take them to the Instagram page, which will take them to the website and the app. Also, you can partner with influencers from YouTube or Instagram. There's always leaders and there's followers. If I think highly of someone and I see them traveling to Calgary Airport, I want their same experience, so I'm going to go to Calgary Airport. And there's also a new channel of advertising. It's no longer just a billboard. You see it right now through YouTube or through Pandora. There will be an ad that pops up. You can do this by using your ad on your app or even on your website, whether it be a quick video of a tourist attraction in Calgary or a quick pop-up picture of a restaurant we offer in the airport. So here would be an example of how you would use the revenue for that. You can do per clicks, 4,000 views, so it will be like 85 cents per view. You get 8,000 views, and then that will be your revenue, 6,800.
We are proposing that you recognize your advertising space. You categorize the two, that is corporate advertising and personal advertising. Corporate advertising is geared towards targeting companies. This space that companies come in the advertisement and post them on there. So this is within the airport and around the airport. Personal advertising, this one is geared towards the 17 million people who come through the airport. Yeah, this is personal, sort of like small adverts that are in the airport, either to advise them on security or products that are available in the airport. It could also pass more information that you probably may have that you think is important for visitors.
And now we're going to the renovations for your domestic terminal. So we kind of want it to match your international terminal and also have its own look and feel. So we want to make sure when guests come in, they know that they're in Calgary, they know they're in Canada. So having a Canadian or Calgarian color scheme with the reds, the blacks, the yellow, maybe a silver or a white. And you can also incorporate that into your seating. When looking online, that was a major issue. There was nowhere for people to work. So you will have, like in the bar section, you can use red tables or whatever color have you, and also include outlet ports within the bar so people can use, whether it's charging up their phone, their child playing a game or something of that sort. And also, as we do renovations, making sure it's inclusive and having areas for people who have disabilities. So it's not jammed up, no pushing, no people walking around someone else, and also having signs. Oftentimes people got lost as we looked at reviews online, so having signs and using the Calgarian colors on there so people can know where they're going. And also including the restaurants, including more restaurants closer to the gate and having them to be more Canadian, something you can only get in Calgary or Canada. Next, we're going to add art renovations and statues from Canada, whether it be an Indigenous statue or something of Stampede, so people can take a picture, hashtag YYC, and it's used as free advertisement. And also on high tourist days, have free local food, like little samples, so people can try and say, what is that? Oh, it's in Calgary, I want to come back and go to the restaurant.
We have all explained what you need to do, but how are you going to do? We have gone out of our way to identify somebody who lives in Canada and is willing to work with you to reorganize your advertising space. He's Kelvin, he's a graduate of his school, and he's very experienced. He's now the marketing manager of South Africa International, and he's willing to do all this for you at no cost on a pro bono basis. So if you want, just give you the contract and we are going to get that.
Okay, in conclusion, here is our timeline. It can vary, but we also provide you with a connection called Akamai. They are a tech company based out of Boston in the United States, and they really are great with you making apps 3 to 12 months, 4 to 12 months if you just want to renovate your website. The price can vary depending on what features you want to maximize on your app or on your website. What makes them stand out is they're known for having an app or a website that's accessible and easy to use for international people. It's not just based for Americans or people in the US. No matter their descent, it's easy to use and navigate through. Any questions? Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, so now we have again 3 minutes for questions. Right?
So I'd be interested to know, that each of you has been in an airport, been in this airport, and you've been in other airports. And you made several recommendations. Have you seen any of those things? And like any of your recommendations elsewhere, like things like that app? And if so, what did you find most useful? What's the most important part?
So part of the formation of our app idea, it comes from Singapore's airport. They have their own mobile app that has a lot of similar features in it. And it was really quite beautiful to go through. I've been in the Singapore airport. They kind of really designed it to reflect what Singapore looks like. And like it was a really large airport, so being able to see everything and to kind of get through everything, it was really, really nice. So that's why we thought it would be nice to implement here, because it's really working successfully for them.
And also, I was a first-time traveler. This is my first time on a plane coming here. And my dad, I got tips from him because he travels for work. He's been to India, Switzerland, and he was the one who said, go to someone that has an app. And it was easier. I didn't have to hang on to a slip of paper. I could just go on my phone and just scan it, and I was going through fast. And I can also look at maps and see what they had. I'm from North Carolina, so I was able to say, okay, there's a Starbucks on my gate. I got Starbucks, instead of just sitting down because I was anxious and nervous to spend money. So.
Thanks. So, first of all, thanks a lot for the presentation. It's very engaging. A lot of work went into it. So well done. I just have one question, and it relates to the app itself. Now, one thing is I'm impressed by how comprehensive all of the different things you recommend to bundle together are. If we were to, as an organization, implement the app, but we were limited to only implementing 2 or 3 things at first to pilot an app, what would those 2 or 3 things be of the whole package?
Definitely the main things to include would be an interactive map, kind of Google Maps style, if you're able to put in your gate number and find it easily. I live in Calgary. The airport's really, really busy. It's really, really hectic. And then that way you can know, hey, there's a Starbucks about 5 minutes away. My gate board's in 15 minutes. Am I gonna have time to get there and back? So definitely the map, and then probably the list of all of the services. And then I would say the customer service chat, because then if they're having problems, they can be resolved easily.
And it's known for people, if they have an issue, they most of the time just want to feel their voices heard. So if they have a place to complain, they're more likely to calm down. It's not like, I'm never coming back here again. I have someone to talk to, look to, and it's easier to navigate.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah,
Great.
thank
Thanks
you
very
so
much.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There was actually, it got almost to.
How are you? Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you. Stephanie.
Hi there.
Stephanie.
Hi there. Hi, Stephanie.
Okay. Some instructions before we start. Okay, so you have 12 minutes for presentation, 2 minutes for questions and answers. When you have 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left, and 30 seconds, I'm going to raise the time card. Okay, whenever this, your time is over, you can finish your sentence, and then you go to questions and answers. Good luck. So good luck.
Thank you.
I'll be here in case.
Hello, everybody. We have team 3, and I am Emmanuel.
I'm Stephanie. I'm Alicia.
We're here to talk about the solutions to the challenges we were presented with. This is what we came up with.
2 problems we found at the airport was that some customers were unsure of what they could do in the airport and were a little bit lost in some parts of the airport. The solution we found was an app. The second problem we came up with was that Calgary is sometimes seen as too much of the airport and they don't have a big enough idea of the destination that Calgary can be.
Does it have sound?
Yes.
Okay, so gonna.
This sounds not on the computer.
So weird.
If there's too much of a hassle.
We can show you the video at the end if you like.
Too much of a hassle.
Yeah, we can show video at the end.
We can just show about the sound. Yeah, we can show without the
Yeah,
sound.
we can just show.
Is that?
Okay,
So sorry for the
we can play about this. So like Angus said, we are introducing a mobile app for your organization. So the global market recently experienced a tremendous increase in the amount of smartphone users. So our team came up with the idea of launching a mobile app to benefit your organization. So as you can see here, a mobile app not only benefits the user, but benefits your organization as well. And here's why. So it can increase sales. How? By having store and restaurant listings in the mobile app, this can easily direct a customer to those locations to purchase whatever they may need. Building loyalty and relationships. So this is done by offering special incentives through the app, such as special deals and additional services devised for app users. It can also build a stronger brand for the Calgary International Airport. So mobile apps can greatly contribute to the airport since it's a channel to represent your amenities and a way to help customers stay informed. It can also help your organization by connecting better with customers. So a business's success strongly depends on customer service. Using an app as a customer service tool is a great way to improve user communication and satisfaction. And lastly, it ensures ease to your customers. So many customers may not know what the YYC airport is all about. This mobile app can inform the customer of places to eat, things to see, restaurants to eat at, places to shop, restroom locations, and so much more. So now how can this benefit a user? Well, the information of the airport is at their fingertips. It is fast and free to download through the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and it is easy to view amenities at the airport. So now the first image is a survey that was taken back in 2016 that small businesses filled out. So why did your company decide to build a mobile app? 55% say to increase sales, 50% say to improve customer experience, 50% say to become competitive in the market, 17% say internal needs, and 14% say the parent company requires it. And now the second image is kind of just a graph showing that different age groups do use smartphones and that they do download apps. And then the third column kind of just displays the time spent per month in hours. So this just goes to show you guys that mobile apps are used not just by the younger generation, but people of all ages. Now, promoting the app. So here's a little flyer that I designed just to promote the app around the airports. So first, creating a demo video just kind of showing how easy and convenient it is for a customer to download this app. And App Store optimization, which is a process of optimizing an app in order to maximize its visibility in the App Store or the Play Store. Including app download links on social media outlets and the website, use of social media marketing, writing a press release to capture attention, and the use of airport screens throughout the airport so that there is an easy to scan QR code so that customers can just easily scan it and not look through the App Store to download the app.
Cool, so we made a quick demo app just to show you guys what you could do if you wanted. So you create first with a welcome screen, which the person taps on, welcome. And through there, they're given a watch flight, so if they have their own flight they can watch. gives them a 30-minute reminder to head to their gate with a little map. We also have flights, parking activities and the map. So under parking, it shows you the parking at your airport with how many bays are available and the parking calculating fee. We also have the flights, so you just go pick someone up and check when all the flights are coming in, when they're coming out. And we also have the Uber on the map, which is your interactive on your website, but you can bring that into your app as well. So if they're busting washroom, they can check quick and head off to it or where their gate is, as well as Uber and taxi services, which really can really speed up the process from gate and visiting the airport.
So here's just another survey that was taken back in 2017 of airport customer service. So 70% airside and 77% landside agree that it is important to prepare employees to deliver great customer service. But however, only 13% feel that their airport or organization delivers on their brand message, mission, vision, and values. So obviously that is a very low number, and we strongly believe that an app would help promote the Calgary International Airport's image and really show what Calgary is all about. So in our research, we found that many customers are lost and confused on what to do in the airport. So this leads to the problem of Calgary's image, because Calgary is so much more than just an airport.
So we're going to focus on the non-aeronautical side of it. So as far as your vision, we looked up that you saw you want to reflect the beauty of the city, starting with each traveler and making sure they savor that moment and feel like they actually experience something through the city instead of having to leave the airport. They get it while they're off their planes. Glenville is a museum that has been here for 50 years. They have an exhibit called the Mavericks that we feel would be a good demo to put into the airport. It shows the 48 Mavericks, which were the men and women who shaped the West Canadian culture and started Alberta. So we feel like people have a taste of history and they can walk through. It then leads to our gift shop where they can buy souvenirs. This is also a nonprofit organization, so I feel like this will also be a good partnership. It benefits for efficiency and improves the social change in a positive way. Also, this is Canada. People want to experience the great food here, and what better than poutine? There is a bagel shop in the airport, but I feel like people really want that grab and go fast food experience. So that's why we thought this would be a good idea to put into the airport. And we looked up the first thing that comes up when people search Canada and poutine, the Big Cheese. I don't know if that's a good popular restaurant, but a reference, just having that in there. And Cressy will give more detail of the museum.
So for the museum, we thought of adding more features to it, like the wax figures representing the wild animals they have in Canada. Also, we thought of adding a little bit more entertainment, like a Canada theme shop, which you can get merchandise, hoodies, accessories. You can enter that either for the museum, or you can just go around it if you don't have time. We also added on a kids center, which is mountain themed, and for the elderly people or the people who have really long layovers, they can use the massage chairs and sleeping pods.
So combining with the two problems we identified with our two solutions, an app and the airport improvements, building on what you guys already have there, we feel that could concoct to really build customer volume, connecting flights coming through from a different place, say Vancouver or another country, connecting through YYC. If they go to the museum, it'll pique their interest. They'll see, oh, there's more to do in Calgary. Maybe I'll fly to Calgary next time and check out the Rocky Mountains, check out the poutine, check out the city, and the museum to get them interested in actually what the city has to offer in terms of culture and music. So, yeah, in conclusion, we feel that a good impact on the people coming to the airport and building on the revenue streams. So we'll be flying out in 10 minutes. Just make sure your seatbelts are fastened. Take any questions.
Thank you. So interesting. I will make a generalization about generations, right? I'm from a generation that's, before digital.
Yeah.
And you're not. And yet your recommendations included both an app and then a lot of physical things, museum things. So I'm interested in the thinking that got you to those two types of recommendations, and which one you think is truly more powerful in an airport?
Well, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. So at our Cleveland Airport, there's a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's just so much more to do in the Cleveland Airport. There's things to see that make you truly want to come back to Cleveland and see what there is to offer. So, the mobile app, obviously, we presented would really benefit your organization, but truly showing what Calgary is about and just showing off the food like Alicia mentioned, and the recreational center for kids like Kasi was talking about, just really showing what Canada is all about for people to come back. Although the mobile app is based off of convenience and customer satisfaction, it also is important to look at the bigger image, which is having those customers come back and just having a great experience just because of what they saw in an airport.
And just building on that, I feel that they work hand in hand because you've got the physical locations obviously in your airport, but to get to them sometimes, say you've got your staff already on the floor, but let's say there's someone busy. So to fill that gap in customer service, they can just pull their app out instead and zero it in instead of going over and asking someone to wear exactly the white hat. So it really frees up your staff and gives them more time to deal with customers and takes off a bit of, it adds a bit of a self-serve advantage. And also, so I think it works hand in hand.
And I've got a question as well around the app. So obviously, when you have an app, you kind of push a lot of the ability for people to self-serve and answer their own questions, which what you just said, it does free up sort of staff to add those sort of high value, high touch, more valuable moments, which is great. The question I have about your app proposal is in relation to our existing mobile website. What would you, in your opinion, as you studied everything, what would you say the number one weakness of our existing mobile website or website is? What's the number one weakness we see?
I personally think, as far as like when you're on your phones, a lot of people, they have a lot of apps on their phone already. So trying to find that Safari bar to go click up and then search YYC Airport, where it's easier to just have like the QR code, you take a picture, everything pops up already for you. So it's a quicker access versus just search everything.
It just makes it easier, I think.
And on top of that, it's just an app, and you just get added features, like you could have, say, reminders popping up, which I don't think the website could do in the phone, so it just means that people are reminded and prompted to get to their phone. So, so I think it just adds a bit of extra stuff to the app that you don't already have, so just an extra layer of benefits.
Awesome, thanks a lot.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Do you also get a copy for you? Thank you very much.
Thanks again, guys.
Hello.
Let me know when you're ready, okay?
Hola, buenas tardes. My name is Juanita Molina. I'm from Medellin, Colombia, at Epic University.
Istanbul. My name is Louis Gopher. I'm currently studying business management at Florida Gulf Coast University. Jambo, my name is Velma Amodi from United States International University in Kenya, studying strategic management.
Guten Tag, my name is Lisa Wang and I'm from Leipzig in Germany. I study business management.
Thank you. So today we are here to propose a 5-year plan for YYC. Just to start us off, we had to put some things in consideration just to understand a passenger's journey from the moment they start looking for a destination all the way to the point where they board or they come through the airport to their other destination. So this just summarizes the passenger decision points when they are, from the moment they step into the airport all the way to the outside. So our proposal will focus on this: customer loyalty, which routes, the services within the airport, the retail hospitality, and all that. So our objectives revolve around non-aeronautical revenue, customer experience, passenger volume, and you're going to see how YYC brings the innovative flair of Calgary through the proposal that you're going to make, from customer experience to technology adoption. And also for our strategy, we have outlined this into 3 phases: short-term, mid-term, and long-term. What has guided this is basically how ease of implementation requirements, the required resources, and also from short-term, mid-term, and long-term, all the reviews that will be done, any kind of improvements, and finally, making YYC a smart airport. So I'd like to invite my colleague Lewis to take us through the next slide.
This portion of our proposal is specifically to embed the culture of Calgary City into YYC. So we want to create this as a destination, not so much a connection center. The ideas that we have revolve around attractions. So while we've been spending time here in Calgary, we got to go to Lake Louise, Banff, and see the Rocky Mountains, which is not an attraction that you have in any city. So we think that it'd be beneficial to promote these attractions. Also local events such as the Global Fest and the Global Stampede to encourage international travel and spending more time in the city. The next collaboration we had proposed was with the Glen Museum, more specifically having exhibitions or artworks in YYC to kind of entice customers to spend time and get knowledge about a museum that's in East Village. We realized that the average age of passengers is about 46 years old, so we thought this might be attractive to a lot of the passengers that travel through YYC. The next is focused on the municipality. So while we were spending time in Calgary, we actually got to go down to East Village and we saw the advancements in infrastructure in East Village. This is going to be a key tourist destination in the next coming cities. And we believe that the municipality has a lot of collaborative ideas or innovations that could be implemented at YYC. The next collaboration we have proposed is with the Indigenous groups that are here in Alberta. So more specifically, First Nations, the Inuit, and the Métis. I am a member of the Seminole Tribe of Florida, so I come from an Indigenous group, and it's not very often that Indigenous groups are offered a corporate sponsorship that reflects the sophistication of their community. And I think this is an excellent way for the Indigenous groups to expose their issues and affairs through artworks and literature in the airport. And the purpose of all these collaborations, like I said, is to create Calgary into a destination. So people travel to places and not to airports. With these collaborations, we would like to advertise and market to international travelers, but also domestic, because we understand that not all domestic travelers are Canadians. So in that sense, we would like to just extend that to all travelers that are passing through YYC. Now, I would like to pass this on to my teammate, Juanita.
Thank you, Rose. So the next couple of slides are basically ideas as to how to improve the sources you already have for creating non-aeronautical revenue in the airport. The first one is layout. We basically have to start thinking as airports as malls with a track. But however, people do not go to airports to buy stuff so much as they do in malls. They usually see the airport this way, which is like a tunnel vision that only leads them to the gate. This is why we want to propose this next layout, which is based on the idea that you told us that the walk-through duty-free actually like incremented your sales, but you didn't want to overdo it. So by just placing strategically the shops in the middle of their pathway from the security to the gate, you can pretty much assure that the customers are going to see the shops and maybe be motivated to go in and thus create a sale, which will increase your income. The second point is to revise how you're currently charging your retailers. While percentage of gross revenue is a very standard way and it works, we want to propose a parallel way which will promote like a motivation to the retailers. You have the opportunity to grow faster in the amount of people that transit through the airport rather than in square footage. So if you charge a sales ticket per passenger, for example, 2 cents per passenger in the airport, based on each business's capacity to generate income, then you can pretty much assure that as the passenger volume increases, so will the revenue. At the end of the month, you will balance out if the sales ticket per passenger or the percentage of gross revenue is higher, and then you will charge that to the retailers. The third point is information to retailers. Retailers and the airport are pretty much allies, and we realize that sometimes the information is more available to the passengers and not so much your allies in this business. So by simply giving them important and relevant information to their activity can make things easier for them and in turn for you as the airport. So, for example, by identifying the valley and peak hours, the retail shops can decide how to staff their facilities in order to prevent things from clustering and having long lines, which we know discourages the customers to make a purchase. Now, I would like to turn this over to my colleague.
Thank you. We were also thinking about additional sources of making revenue for the Calgary Airport. And the idea we came up with is that the Calgary Airport could introduce their own merchandise shops. For example, when we traveled to the Frankfurt Airport, we saw that they are currently selling their own merchandise from the airport. As you can see, for example, the neck pillows, blankets, or even, for example, blind folds. This could also be a good idea for the Calgary Airport because the logo, for example, of the Stampede is quite appealing, and so might people recognize it in other airports as well. And so the airport has the chance to create revenue without intermediaries, which would increase the revenue in general. So then we also wanted to come up with some creative ideas. We thought that the first idea would be to improve the recreation areas of the airport. We read that there are already recreation areas at the airport, but that the customers have to pay for them. And we thought that it might be also good to have some additional special places where customers can rest. For example, the massage chairs, or even sleeping pods, which are quite innovative. And the airport can also make a small amount of revenue with these. Then the next one, which we found really creative, is free printing machines with free short stories. For example, related to the history and facts of Calgary, which the passengers can go through, push a button and get a free story. And for example, on the back, there could be a QR code or a link to a destination which is nearby Calgary. And you can also charge them because it's kind of a small advertising for them. And so this would be also a new way of creating revenue, but also really innovative, and good experience. And the last point we're coming up with is, this is the concept with the piano, which is standing in common places. You can put an interactive guitar, people can go there, play on the guitar, and this is also related to the culture of Calgary and will remind people of what the culture is about. Or maybe, for example, even traditional drums or rattles, which is also connected to the First Nations and the whole cultural thing. I would like to hand over to Valma.
Thank you. So our end goal also long term is to make YYC a smart YYC. Airports should be seen as a commercial center of innovation and excellence. In this case, for sure, data is really important. And our proposal is to allow YYC to have their own source of data. Currently, you're relying so much on the partnerships to get the data, which really so far is not really what you want. You want to track the passenger by the minute. So our proposal is to have Wi-Fi sensors in every point. Basically, as long as a passenger's mobile data is on or they're connected to your Wi-Fi, you're able to collect data, their activities, and be able to make specific decisions out of it by implementing analytical tools. And also from another point is for your Wi-Fi, the free Wi-Fi in the airport, if you could just give a short survey for the customer to pick certain information of interest for you, then you can combine this to be able now to use it to make decisions. 84% of passengers do want personalized information sent to them through their mobile phones. You can do this by having this data and be able to know what kind of marketing promotion should you send to different kinds of passengers. So technology plays a key role, and from an aspect of data, which at this point you see is very key for you, that is our proposition to you, to have a passenger flow management, and also just to use the current the Wi-Fi that you do have. Just go to the next slide, please. So this is just an overview. As you can see from the dashboard, you can decide whatever kind of data you want to expose, and all that we can get it either from the surveys or the information that we picked as we manage we follow the flow of our passengers. And the last bit here just shows IoT, basically Internet of Things. This is all the data from your partners to all the data that you're getting, putting into a platform for you to be able to make intelligent decisions. So thank you very much for your time. I think any questions are now welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I like your interactive music idea. How would you recommend, let's say if all the passengers around them don't want to listen to loud drums and guitars, is there any like ideas you have to kind of mitigate that?
I think it should be a strategic, like we should make a strategic decision where to place the guitars, because I think guitars are not as loud as, for example, a piano. But for sure, there should be like an area which is not like in the center of the airport. Maybe you can make signs like here you can go for the interactive guitar, but it should not be in the center for sure. Like maybe somewhere like more far away, or not far away, but like not in the center.
Or a cabin, maybe, an enclosed cabin where there's glass, so like the sound can be like mitigated, but then people can still see it.
I'm kind of interested in how you figured out short versus midterm between promoting Calgary as a destination and creating that seamless customer experience. I think that there's a little bit of chicken and egg, right? Which if you had the decision to say, yeah, I'd like to get more people here, or I'd like to get more money from each of the people that come here, which one do you think you would care about first?
So
more people or more money from each?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
The reason we offer these collaborations was to increase passenger volume. So by getting more passengers there, we think that it would reflect everything that goes forward. And as Vilna said, the short term and the midterm and the long term were based on the amount of resources that it took to implement the project. So that was basically our focus for the short term and the midterm. Basically, communication could start immediately, so that was the center for short term.
And I think also if you can create or increase the volume, the revenues will increase as well, and then maybe give you a little bit more of a capital to invest in the new like seamless experiences.
But again, we would like to thank you so much for your time.
And from a technology perspective, I work for a technology company, IBM. If for any reason, if you take our solution, you're working with the experts.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies first. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Josh, he's crying. Calm her down a little bit.
No, no.
This guy asked me.
No,
That's a financial question. Okay, all right. You watch these, you guys. You guys anything? Water for drugs?
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna give you some of
Yeah, I'll call you.
And we don't have water here.
No?
Not a thing we do. We're supposed to talk about that. We're not at the airport now. Old wounds. Oh, changing. Hey, what's this?
Afternoon.
Oh, afternoon, sorry.
That's me. Good afternoon.
Everyone, this side, other side. This side, on that side. Okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to present our business idea to you. This is Team Avion. Avion, if you're aware, is airplane in French. And our slogan is diversity collaboration because, as you can see, we are a very diverse team. So we're going to start straight into it and look at our roadmap to success. Our plan has strategic objectives, then research, and then we'll go right into the business proposal. So our strategic objectives is what had been laid out, and that is to increase non-aeronautical revenue and develop new sources of revenue. The second one, develop customers' experiences and develop a marketing plan for promoting this program. And then recommend ways to attract new customers and also to encourage the existing customers to take more flights from, through, and to YYC. So we carried out a SWOT analysis just to look at where we stand right now as an airport from the information we could gather. So in our strength, we have established partnerships, that's with our airlines and different business partners. We have the Calgarian spirit and value, and we can all attest that we have actually felt it while we have been here, and even when we were landing, it was very welcoming. Location, we're located in a very ideal area, and that is to our advantage. Accessibility is also key. In our weaknesses, passenger traffic, so that is what we want to look at increasing and how to increase it. Language barrier, there are times where you may have international tourists coming in and they don't have anyone who's able to translate in their local language. Limited space in terms of expansion, and the brand not being aware probably beyond Canadian borders. In our opportunities, we have online presence of our target audience. So how much more can we do online to be able to communicate to them and reach out to them? Advancement in technology and data, that is huge. The world is becoming a global village, and how are we adapting into that? Expansion and diversification of our product lines, our market, and all other opportunities that will come along. Threats, competition, which is self-explanatory, and price-conscious demographic that are now not willing to spend over and above. So we have looked at this as the best of hospitality, the Calgarian way. And as you can see from the handout on your tables, this is the 5 steps that we want to take to be able to achieve our goal. So we want to position Calgary International Airport as a pacesetter in the aviation industry by implementing 3 key things: new offerings, local integration, and digitization of our business. We will look at internal communication and then head straight into the awareness, familiarity, so that people can be aware of the objectives of our campaign. Create long-lasting relationships with our stakeholders, because that is very important. They are business drivers and they help us achieve our goals. And then creating enough loyalty that we can become a point of reference to people, and it will have a snowball effect. So we'll look at them into detail, starting by the years. So year 1.
On the year 1, our goal for year 1 is to increase the revenue, improve the core business of the Calgary Airport, and redefine the brand of Calgary Airport. So let's start looking at how can we increase the revenue. The first thing is advertisement placement. we allow the business to do advertising in Calgary Airport Terminal. As you can see in the picture here, this is a photo of the train station in my country that they are having the sort of revenue from allowing the business to create advertisement in their station. And the business they're going to advertise in our terminal are the business, the company that they want to gain a rapid increase in awareness, and the business that have the target customer at a frequent value. And another way that Calgary Airport can increase the revenue is by offering car parking booking. This has been done in the Sydney Airport. Moving on how to improve the core business of the Calgary Airport. If we have to solve the job to be done. Job to be done is the progress that people try to make inside. For the Calgary Airport, it allows Calgarians to travel to another part of the world and allow the world to come to Calgary. For my example, I always want to come to Canada, but I never have a chance until I got this agriculture symposium at Calgary at Florida to come to Calgary to do my job, to make my progress in life, and Calgary Airport make this happen for me. So to solve job to be done, you have to make sure that there is flight available and destination available. And on the core business of the Calgary Airport, which is the domestic flight and the US market, we're going to focus that on the first year first. And to having more flight and having more destination, we can do it by the backward integration that airport compliant with the airline, have to make sure that airline want to have more flight in the airport. Second, we can increase the number of direct flight by propose the potential profitable destination to the airline. And lastly, we can improve the relationship with the strategic partner by doing a relationship management strategy which consists of financial, emotional, customization, and structural. For the business context, the appropriate one will be customization and structural. And lastly, redefining the brand of Calgary Airport. The brand is a promise that business give to the customer, right? And for example, like the Changi Airport in Singapore, they give the promise, the best absolute experience ever. But we have to be realistic here that Calgary Airport didn't have the capability to deliver that. But we have different value, which is Calgary hospitality. So we can offer the value of heartwarming, caring experience to the customer instead of. This is how we're going to define the brand. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'll be talking about year 2, in which we will begin to transition to digital, begin to improve our terminals and our market expansion. When I talk about market expansion, I specifically mean China as a country. We know China is growing and is globalizing, not only its neighboring countries, but also in the western part of the world. We want to expand and cater to this need by offering more flights to major cities in China. Based on statistics, actually, the number of Canadians that travel to China and the number of Chinese that travel to Canada equals about the same at like 600,000, actually a little bit more than that. With that market expansion, we will add a POS system. We'd like to add WeChat Pay. WeChat Pay accounts for more than 39% of all transactions done in China. So that's something that will help our guests in terms of convenience, so they don't have to use any cash or any Visa cards that can have any foreign like exchange fees. After this, we will add our chatbot. His name will be Cal. He's your Canadian pal. And as you can see here, this is an example of an interaction with Cal. I want to know where like Tim Hortons is in the airport. It's on Terminal A beside the Burger Federation. Super simple. In terms of programming, it's not that complicated to do like a chatbot. So that's where we would like to begin by adding that to our website and then eventually just be on the app. Now we would like to lastly begin our Rick Hansen process. So Rick Hansen, the certification was achieved by Vancouver actually in 2018. They got a rating of 93 out of 100 and actually got their gold star classification. So that's something that we would like to promise to our guests, not only our passengers, but also our community and our partners.
So in year 3, our main goal is, as you said, go global, go digital, have local integration, and offer new service. Now, with the online shopping platform, you can help enhance the non-analytical revenue, and it allows travelers that are on a time crunch to purchase
beforehand, and you can come to it there further at the airport. It also an advantage over the mall because there's no tax, so you can purchase from there. The local integration, we think that since Calgary Airport contributes so much to the community, we think that they'll also improve it by having them be more part of the airport. So they have like local city tours for passengers who have layovers of 5 hours or more. Also have local artists come in and display their artwork. And we can also use that artwork as an Instagrammable spot so where people can take pictures as well. Also creates a sense of ambience to the airport. Local business owners that don't have the economic power to open a store in the airport itself, they can offer like a pop-up shop or something so they can view local Calgary goods at the airport. And lastly, in that year, we intend to offer a new service of a charging station for electronic cars. So providing that will also be a new form of non-analytical revenue and also offer visitors, both international and domestic, a sense of reliability onto our airport. And
So for year 4, now that we have gotten here, we're going to look at leveraging our key relationships with key audiences and stakeholders, because that is very important for us to be able to have the same team and speak one voice and move together in the direction that we want to do it and achieve our objectives. And then retraining our staff, because now that we are changing direction of where we want to go and how we want to do it, we have to look at the most important aspect of our business, and that is our staff and how they're going to represent us when they're outside there in the field. And also looking at diversification of our product portfolio, whether inside the airport, can we look at having more cross-cultural shops, restaurants that are able to cater to people who are traveling in and out of the Calgary airport. And finally, the site.
It's renovation time. So we want to bolster the infrastructure and improve the functionality through the Rick Hansen certification. This certification was received by Vancouver in 2018, and certification to measure how well an airport is for handicap accessibility. And another renovation we want to do, we want to revamp it visually and reorganize pictures in the layout of the airport. This could be through local artwork or what have you. And renovation isn't only physical, but it can be digital as well. And as we mentioned earlier, Cal is our chatbot. This will be featured in our app. And I have listed a few features up here that would improve the accessibility to the airport. A walk time feature would be would improve foot traffic to local restaurants in the airport, because it would show that how far you are in minutes or seconds to a local restaurant, say like Tim Hortons. You have an app that can tell you how far you are from the Tim Hortons. And then you can also say the departures and arrivals, as well as the boarding times of this. And you can, the click and call feature would be able to allow the customers to contact the store directly. All right.
That is it. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
10 minutes for questions and answers.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll ask kind of a tough question in this about year 5. Maybe a tough question. Why would you wait that long to do those things?
Well, it's a gradual process. We'd be building.
So the reason that take so long to do it on your side because we want to make sure that we have the capability to do it, the financial thing, and to make an app. At this early stage, it's not possible because we have to do some offer the service enough to make an app specified for the customer. Like we say that we have the chatbot on year 2, we have an online store on year 3, and moving on until we make it. We have offer enough things. So in order for app to be specified for the customer. And for the retention process also that once you get the guide from them, make sure you come out, but it still takes the time also to collect the learning and to review the things that we have to be done in the app also. So I want to make sure that we are ready to do that on the app.
Thank you.
How would you promote the app once it's been developed? I know one of the challenges of the airports airlines have with apps is that people don't visit an airport frequently enough. We sometimes don't know that the airport has an app until they've made their way through it and lost the benefit of it. What sort of strategies might you suggest to mitigate that or encourage people to download the app as you're using it?
Okay, so in terms of having the app, like we said in our presentation, we want to leverage a lot on our stakeholders and ensure we have them on board. So the partner airlines, maybe like WestJet, Air Canada, etc., or all the other people who have shops within the mall are able to use their platforms to also promote the app. Also in airport advertising, where you're communicating and telling them you can get all the information from here, or if they're booking their ticket through Calgary Airport or point of sale kind of thing, and also putting out advertisements out of the airport so that people are aware, Calgarians are aware that when I go to the mall, when I go to the airport, I'm able to download the app and communicate or get all the information that I need, and I'm able to plan ahead of time.
To add to that, we'd also incorporate a loyalty program because people are more likely to come back if there's like benefits for coming back rather than like it being a one-way street, I guess. So.
What kind of information do you think would not be able to be answered over this chatbot? So like what information do you think would work?
I think like very specific situations, like I think the basic features would be covered, like where are certain places or what's right.
When you get a propulsion by internet,
Something that wouldn't be like answered, like if an airline allows a certain amount of like of baggage weight or something like that, that we would refer that to our customer service line or something.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you have some faculty forms. There are other forms. Which ones you got there for now? How many more do you have? 5 or? 5 more groups. Yeah, you want me to see so far? 5. Actually, you got 6 because the kids got 4 in here. And just 1 for you. Hang on a second. Just give me a second, okay? Why don't you guys just set up there? Yeah, play watching me. Share. We're fine with the forms. They're fine. Okay.
Just need to vanish like this here. Just give it to me afterwards, okay? Okay, sure.
Got enough?
How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Well, my name is Matthew Smith, and I'm from the USA.
I'm Paxton Ramos, I'm from the United States as well.
My name is Rusna from Oman. I'm Ashley from Australia.
And together we are Runway Consultants. So we're a group of international students that have been working diligently together to create unique ideas that align with the YYC's goals of increasing non-aeronautical revenue, improving passenger experience, as well as increasing the passenger volume. So it's our pleasure to meet together in Calgary with you guys after traveling 53 hours of total airtime through 10 airports. And when we got here, we actually got to meet a bunch of great people from all over the world. And one of the common ice-breaking questions someone would ask is, hey, where all have you been? And then that subsequently would go to, oh, well, have you been to here? And then a response we heard time and time again was, oh, well, I've been to blank, but only the airport. So that resonated with us because that's something I even heard back home when I'd be talking to people. So that really struck with us, and that led to one of our main objectives, which is bringing Calgary to the passengers. So in brief, what this means is if someone's going to have a 1 or 2 hour layover at the YYC, we want them to have a brief sample of the best that Calgary in this region has to offer, whether it's food and experiences. And with Calgary being known for its high proportion of the layovers or connecting flights per passenger, we think it fits really well. And our other objective is convenience, which basically boils down to we want to make flying as least stressful as possible, which is a goal for everyone, I know. And it also goes hand in hand with a lot of B2C channels right now that are really exploding. It focuses on convenience, whether it's the Ubers or the Amazon, focuses all on consumer convenience. So for our first idea on transportation, I'd like to pass it off to Luz now.
So I am here now to convince you how can we improve the transportation in Calgary Airport. We thought that these two ideas will help us to attract customers and at the same time increase the revenue of the airport. They are valet parking and secure a spot app. First of all, valet parking is a very genius and helpful idea. It allows patrons to come upright to the entrance without worrying about parking on side street and work for partisans. As I am a trainee in the airport of my country, I always notice passengers running in the airport and they don't want to miss their flight. So when I back to the reasons, I find that if they found someone who bought their car, they will not be stressful at that much. And the values that we add in the valet parking is that we offer other services such as car washes, interior and exterior detailing, paint, sealant, and oil changes. The other idea is secure a spot app. When the passenger use this app, they will book a space for their car and before they reach to the airport. And this app will offer advantages such as discounts and offers for loyal customer or passengers.
So the next idea we have looks more at increasing consumer convenience as well as increasing non-aeronautical revenue in terms of retail, which is the At Your Gate app. So it's an order and delivery app all within the airport. So whether you want coffee, you want food, your news, or whether you want a jacket and headphones, everything is all in one place. There's no longer a need to go search into a bunch of different terminals, to different shops for what you want. It's all one click away. And this is really convenient for businessmen that need to catch up on emails before they go offline on the next flight, or if you're running late and you know, oh, I only have 20 minutes to make it to my connection, you can pick up your phone, one-stop shop, and it'll be waiting for you right where you set it. So it's very convenient and very nice. And we think that will differentiate the YYC from other airports and give it another heads up. And the Aggregate app is actually being launched in 6 different destinations in the US right now. And it seems like it's working really well, and especially with the younger generation coming up, because this is similar to other order and delivery apps. So we think that could really take off in the years to come, and it will help differentiate it, the YYC.
So in keeping with the retail theme, we suggest, in order to bring Calgary to the passengers, we suggest this sort of like a one-stop shop where you can find all the local products from Calgary, as well as food and beverages, breweries, restaurants, all the best things Calgary has to offer, because there's such a wide selection in Calgary that you just can't go out on a connection and just do it in a connection. So the best way to do it is if we bring a little, almost like a food court, but not like your touristy gift shop sort of food court. And you can purchase and it can be like Calgary Stampede themed with partnering with local business. So it's helping the local economy as well as helping the airport. So it'll allow passengers to experience local products without having to leave the airport and travel to the city, and thus they're spending more time in the airport and spending more money within the airport. Our next idea is to introduce like a series of small parks and playgrounds within the airport. So in terms of the parks, you can include native flora to Alberta, and this will create Instagrammable moments that will connect with the younger generation, and that will also create hopefully its own social media sort of following and be a good marketing tool that's not too expensive.
In addition to that, we suggest including a playground for those families with kids, particularly whether you're on a connection or you get into the airport early to settle the kids down. You want them to burn off some energy before you get on your next flight, or before they get on the flight. So we recommend these playgrounds that they've implemented at Melbourne International Airport. And this allows them to not only learn about the environment in Calgary, but it also allows them, by incorporating like attractions that pay tribute to attractions such as like the Rocky Mountains or like Banff National Park. It will also allow parents to grab a coffee, walk around and shop without a kid on their hip. So it'll bring a level of uniqueness to the airport that allows for like a pleasant experience, non-stressful before they get on the flight.
Okay, so could I just ask you guys to close your eyes for a moment? All right, so just picture yourself. You just arrived at YYC. You had a long, tiresome flight. It was delayed. It was an overnight flight. You had a terrible middle seat. You had a rambunctious kid just kicking you in the back the entire flight. You had two, not one, but two crying babies on the flight. And you originally scheduled an extended layover so you could explore the region. Well, now you have less than 2 hours to experience Calgary. Perhaps you get off your flight, you grab a bite, you grab a beer at Eat Calgary. Now what do you do? So if you'd open your eyes. So what if it was possible to experience the Calgary Stampede, canoe on the crystal blue waters of Lake Louise, and ski down Castle Mountain and Banff National Park, all within the airport terminal? Well, with today's virtual reality technology, that's possible. Virtual reality technology is obviously exploding. It's a huge trend. It's a trend that's here to stay. And the great thing about this virtual reality technology is it not only appeals to the 5-year-old child who is thrilled to see these mountains they've never seen before, or to the 50-year-old business person who's just trying to blow off some steam, trying to relax before they connect on their next flight. And we really believe that this virtual reality technology really hones to our point of bringing Calgary to the passengers, because rather than the passengers having to go out of the airport and experience Calgary for themselves, for those who are not able to, we're bringing Calgary to them.
So, in conclusion, over the past 8 weeks, we've been working very hard together to try to come up with ideas that fit along with YYC's goals of increasing the non-aeronautical revenue, increasing the passenger experience, as well as increasing the passenger volume. So we believe that with the implementation of our ideas that involve the retail, transportation, as well as the experience sector, that we will be able to differentiate and elevate the YYC over the competitive airports around. And it is our hope that the next time someone asks, hey, have you been to Calgary? They can say, well, I've been to the airport, but I've been able to taste the local food, see the Stampede, canoe on beautiful Lake Louise, as well as ski in Banff National Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Good presentation. I have a question for you that relates to the trade-off that we often deal with between guest experience and revenue generation. You thought about the recommendations that you made here. What would you do first? What would have the biggest impact, and why would you pick that recommendation?
I'm a little biased because I really focused on the At Your Gate section, but I think that is one that, because it's already an existing app, it's not like you have to go develop your own. You just have to partner with At Your Gate, and you can bring it in and have almost an immediate surge where you can roll it out very quickly, and it just offers that easy convenience where customers can go and order things. And as you know, that's why Amazon thrives. It's one-stop shop, because you're not looking around everywhere. It's just, oh, you see this, impulse buy, and it's delivered right to them.
Thanks.
Do you know any of the costs associated with virtual reality? Would you recommend buying our own equipment, renting? How would that work?
I think it would all depend on the scale and maybe the long-term vision of, do you want this to be a staple? Do you want to maybe roll it out slowly, see what the feedback is from the visitors? So I think it's largely dependent on, how elaborate of a virtual reality system you get. There's just the goggles where it's just that, but then there's also enclosed systems which are obviously a lot more costly. So I guess it would all depend on the long-term vision for that feature.
But a lot of it's available to just everyday consumers nowadays anyway at a low cost, so it's not too much there.
Cool.
All right, thank you guys, appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Chris, for your good job with this video. We appreciate your support. Josh got a white line. We don't want
Oh, I see.
Hi guys, we are Team 18. My name is Kyler and I'm going to start off by talking to you a little bit about the financial sector that we were given. Our team name is IGP, stands for Innovative Global Perspectives. This is our presentation overview. We're going to start with our challenge, revenue strategy, the customer experience, passenger volume, and just a quick thank you. So our challenge briefly was 3 categories. It fell under the non-aeronautical revenue. That has a couple of categories like parking, concession stands, and things like that. How do we appeal to more sources? Recreate the customer experience, a new marketing plan, and passenger volume. How do we develop and maintain the current customer relationships that you guys do have? So revenue highlights in 2017, 2018, you guys saw increases by 7.8% in your concessions category. Your land rental went up by 4.3%. Terminal space rental also increased by 5.8%, and interest income increased by an overall 81%. 138.9 million was part of the non-aeronautical revenue in 2018, and that stood for 33% of your annual revenue in 2018. This year is just a 5-year approach to some of the strategies that we are going to implement or suggesting to implement. November 2021 raised private funds. So as part of this 5-year plan, it kind of kickstarted by looking at you guys' sister airports, Toronto, Vancouver, things like that, and just looking at their strategies and what they were doing in the community, their CSR initiatives and things like that. And we found that that wasn't really a present aspect of your guys' social media, your website and things like that, which kind of stood out to us in as far as differences. As part of Vancouver's #1 ranking in Canada, they mentioned that that was attributed to private art shows. They were heavily involved in the community, making very huge community donations and pledging that same donation every year. So going forward, December 2022, establish a community connection, just maybe participating in events such as Special Olympics, donating towards special events in the city of Calgary. January 2023, proposal of new venues, Tranquility Lounge, partnership with Crossiron Mills Outlet Shopping Center. I know that you guys had mentioned that was a risky thing to mention because you're technically taking profits away from the airport. However, Vancouver has implemented that in a luxury shopping outlet, and they have found a substantial increase in their passengers' overall just healthiness aspect of being at the airport. They're not as stressed. They have things to do. They don't just have to wander around the airport and be stuck in one confinement area. February 2024, that's an experimental period, kind of gives you a year or so to figure out if that's working for you guys and if it's not. February 2025, reporting of results, Tranquility Lounge. So you guys had noted that 17.3 million customers came through the YYC International Airport in 2018. Just a rough estimate, if a quarter of those numbers, 4.2 million, came went to the Tranquility Lounge at a fee of $25 Canadian, that would bring you guys just over $106 million per year just with the Tranquility Lounge. And to elaborate a little bit more on that, just more of a green space, kind of because there's a lot of VIP lounges, and there's not really any place for just the common customer to go and enjoy themselves and kind of get away from the airport craziness. And I'm going to be passing it over to Lauren.
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Hernandez, and I'm going to be talking about 3 main ways in which the airport can enhance the customer's experience. So I want to address social media. Obviously, that is a huge marketing tool now because everybody around the globe is on social media. I want to focus on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter because those are definitely the top, the most influential ones. When we reviewed the social media pages, what I did really like is the Instagram page. I felt that the content on there was very good. However, what I noticed is that the airport has thousands of followers. However, very low liking, sharing, amount of likes and people commenting on the photos. So I think we need to look at a new initiative in which we can get more active followers rather just having a big number, because that's not going to matter if no one is reacting to what we're posting. And through that way, what I think would be a good idea is that if we had certain points within the airport where people can post their pictures and you can share their hashtags or tag the airport in there, I think that would be a good way to just share personal stories of people traveling throughout the airport, and those who are looking at the page can see real people and their real experiences. As far as Twitter, personally, I feel like the Twitter should just kind of be deleted and restarted. There are a lot of tweets throughout the day or week I have noticed. However, there's no likes. There's maybe 2 per that. And I think it needs to be more personalized with passengers' stories and experiences, just to show that it's more of a community-oriented page rather than just someone in maybe corporate or the marketing team just kind of posting to post to show that it's active. And again, when I looked at the Facebook page, again, looks good. However, I want to address the review section. I think it's great to have a review section so people can see the positive and the negative, because if you see too much positive, it almost doesn't seem as realistic. However, there are definitely a lot more negative comments on the Facebook page. And within my next slides, I will address some of the things that should be a little bit more improved in order to enhance people's experiences when traveling through. As far as customer comfort and convenience, the amenities that I have listed should either be renovated, added, or have additional locations within the airport. So as far as charging stations, that's just a suggestion to have more within the gates, because a lot of times at the gates, there's only one spot and your seat might be over here and the station might be here. So just for convenience and comfort to be a little bit closer to where you need to be. As Kyla had mentioned, she said to add more non-exclusive lounges. I also think adding just more lounge areas in the terminals is a little bit easier than confining people to their specific gate, especially if there is a long layover time. And then obviously nursing stations are definitely important for mothers who are traveling to have a more private area. And then the children's play area, I know there is one at the airport, but I do feel that they should be a little bit more renovated and maybe expanded a bit, because what a good benefit towards this would be that the kids have more space to run around, they get tired, and they sleep through the flight. So people are a little bit more happy with that experience. And then as far as employee interactions on the Facebook page, I noticed a lot of the complaints do with employee interactions. So as far as employee training, I would encourage that it's reinforced that the employees are the face of Calgary and they are the face of the airport. And most of the times they are the first people that travelers will interact with, and that can really make or break someone's opinion of the city of Calgary. So to just reinforce, to have positive interactions no matter what. And then also hiring multilingual staff. I noticed on the stories page on the website that people did feel a lot more comfortable and a lot happier knowing that they were able to reach out to a staff member who spoke their native language. Even though English is widely spoken around the world, it definitely adds another layer of comfort when someone who isn't strong at speaking English can have someone who they can reach out to and ask the proper questions in order to complete their trip. And now I'm going to pass it to Sonia.
Hi, my name is Sonia. I'll take you through the passenger volume. How do we increase the number of customers that come in YYC or maintain the number of customers with them? So I'll go to mine first. How do we generate new passengers in YYC? The first one is loyalty programs. I was able to research and see what other airports are doing that is different, or what already YYC is doing. So we have the loyalty programs, bringing in or giving out gift cards or rewards to those customers who have been concurrently using the YYC. And then biometrics technology, which I myself was able to experience when I came here. And also we see that airports such as Heathrow, we see Hamad, which is in Qatar, they use the biometrics technology as a face being your passport, as your face being your passport. And then you have robotics. Looking at this, an example is the airports that are using a robot technology is in Japan. Japan have their own company that develops the robots that can be able to assist in terms of luggage transportation, in terms of security checks for their passengers, which quite helps in terms of time. Then we have startups and scale-ups. Example is FTE startup, which is also funded by Hamad Airport, International Airport, which helps in terms of efficiency for most airports. And when YYC collaborates with the startups, it's able to help them in terms of efficiency, come up with ideas of their retails and also technology, which will be able to help them. So if YYC could merge up with FTE startup, it will be really beneficial for the airport. We also have the marketing the sites, so the various sites, as my colleagues have spoken about it. If we could be able to enhance the marketing sites in terms of Lake Louise and all these other beneficial hotels around Calgary, it will be able to encourage more clients or more passengers to pass through YYC before going to the destination, because they have somewhere to come to and to stay. Then we have artificial intelligence. For example, we have KLM, Blue Bolt, which is an app that KLM has that enables customers to be able to interact and get feedback. And that leaves most of the human agents within the company or organization. So it helps in communication within the airport, and you get direct response from the KLM Bolt. So coming back to this airline evaluation, how do airlines evaluate airports? So the first thing and the first priority is demand. So the supply and demand in terms of the passengers, how many passengers will they be able to attract, or will they be able to get to use the airlines in that particular environmental area? We have the high fare rates. Which area do they attract more customers that are ready to pay high rates in that section? We have the limited competition. Are there less airlines in that section? Looking at the gate space, do they have a lot of, in terms of traffic flow of airlines? Then the demography, looking at the demography of that area, are they willing to pay, the people around, are they willing to pay high airfare rates or less? Then the additional cost in terms of, I'm keeping track of that. Then in terms of the additional cost, where also airlines look, if they would need to relocate to this position, do they need to, how much expenses will they incur in terms of their staff coming to this airline? Then the strategic consideration is basically, most airlines don't look at the short-term priority, but more of the long-term. Will it be beneficial even though they're not making profits right now? Looking at, because most airports are majorly based on fixed cost. So in the long term, will they be able to still manage or gain a profit? So I think
I'm afraid we have no more
Thank
time,
you.
sorry. We can go to the question and answers now.
So lots of content there. If you could, if you thought about the recommendations that you made, can you give me an idea of where you would start? Which would you do first? What do you think has the highest impact for the airport and why?
I definitely think it would be the Tranquility Lounge, just because having a safe space, fresh air, just having a place to clear your mind is becoming more and more popular anywhere you go. Having fresh water, just anything like that is more popular, and it gives people a better peace of mind. And then maybe their flight's delayed and they walk into the Tranquility Lounge and they're stressed out. They hang out for a couple hours or two, they walk out and they're feeling refreshed and they now have a better opinion about the airport and itself.
And then also depending on the design of the lounge, again, that can relate to social media of people posting, wow, look at this beautiful lounge that I'm staying in and relaxing at the airport. So that can also just gain a little bit more traffic. What kind of community connections, you're from Calgary? What kind of community connections or establishments connections would you recommend be most strategic?
I know that the Special Olympics is huge here. Mount Royal University just hosted an event. Just partaking in things like that where you're able to brand yourself as, hey, the airport's here, we're supporting you, we're behind you. Just raising funds in that kind of way and just making yourself known within the community because like I've lived here my whole life and just, like obviously the airport is a big deal and stuff like that, but as far as seeing it in the community and just ways that you guys are backing everyone in the community that's giving you guys revenue, it's not as evident as I think it should be.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Just 1 second. Next one is the kids group. Because Chris doesn't know them. About 15. And also some of the parents may have to sit behind.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Marty.
So it's, and then, it's, yeah.
So they're going to come, just give a second. We can just get ready.
Yeah, can we have it like, yeah, just give it a second.
Okay.
Maybe
They're going to do this in a second.
Like, I mean, like, when we switch to the, like, it's immigration, like, that's what we're talking about. If we switch, you know, it's like not very display. Okay, yeah, there.
I can help you with the video at the end, okay? So just. Yeah, we do it all the time.
How about you go? Okay.
Give me a second because I need to turn off the timer, okay?
So just. Okay.
Hello, we are team member Rose, Wednesday, Northern from Norway.
Hello, I'm Katrina Hadzinska from Ireland.
Hello, Maxim Teres from the US.
Hello, Sharon Ramirez from Mexico.
Hello, I'm Kaya Griffin-Taskin from Ireland. Hello, I'm Peter Prendergast from Ireland.
Hello, I'm Peterson from Sweden.
All the way back. One second.
So we had many ideas we wanted to share with you, but unfortunately due to time, we can only share 4 of our best ideas. So our first idea was to allow non-ticketed individuals into the airport. So when you're in an airport, you often see families hugging and crying because they're sad to see each other go. So this leads us to believe that they would greatly value some extra time spent with each other. So we proposed an idea that would let them spend the time between security and departure with each other. So we propose that you allow non-ticketed individuals to go inside the airport. This would greatly increase revenue as once they're inside the airport, they would spend money at the shops and potentially buy services. This could also increase the total customer volume as people that see that the airport allows this feature would more likely choose this airport over other competitors.
This program can only be seen in 3 airports in the United States. It allows those without tickets to reach the gates, provided that they meet TSA requirements. For example, Tampa and Pittsburgh airports. Seattle, Tampa airports have a similar program and have under a 5-year trial period, 1,165 people enrolled in the program, proving that this service is highly demanded will bring a huge income to YYC. You're probably thinking that this will increase the waiting times, but these 3 airports have been finding a way to reduce the lines by only allowing visitors at non-peak times.
For our second point, we would like to include a car maintenance service to your airport. We understand that parking is one of your primary sources of non-aeronautical income, and we are looking forward to improving this service, so which will maximize the utility and the capacity of the service. We want to fill up the parking spots, but primarily want to raise revenue.
So imagine a parking that can save your time when you're in holidays. For businessmen, they don't have time for this service. So we specialize in the necessities of our customers to give them a great value proposition. For our first value proposition, we care about the time of our customers and give them an accessibility facility. So how are we going to make it? We're going to make it with a maintenance service, which will include repairs and checkups, making the YYC advance in the airport maintenance service.
We have a vision of a future where YYC has a fully advanced, pre-booked online service where passengers can leave their car at the airport while they're on holiday or on a business trip and book a maintenance checkup or repair without the hassle of chauffeurs. We would like, if we were thinking that we could outsource property that's already on the parking lot to companies that already provide these services and take a percentage of the revenue, similar to how shops and restaurants work on airport grounds.
Something you said established us in the fact that you want to advance in the ever-expanding technological landscape with your partnerships as Uber. So what we want to implement is an electric vehicle charging for your parking, and we'll have to hire this revenue. And we want to get up ahead of the game and have the changes to the world.
We would also like to add a car wash along with the car maintenance service. Toronto Pearson Airport already has a car wash in Terminal 1, but they do not include the whole maintenance setup along with that. We were also thinking that we could outsource and rent property to a company that already provides that service as well.
With the major impact smartphones have on our daily lives, and in the age of mobile check-in and boarding passes, we believe that Calgary Airport should add to this high-tech travel experience with an app of their very own. Live notifications, updates, and schedule are key to a good airport app. They need to be updated and on time, as this has been the #1 complaint for other airport apps in the past. This could be used not only for the passenger, but also for taxi drivers to allow them to keep up to date on all flights coming into the airport. You may think that this overlaps with airline-specific apps such as Air Canada's app. However, this does not encompass all of the airlines and does not include the features that I'm yet to mention. By linking this app to the live security times, it would allow people to know what to expect when arriving at the security lines and be able to be in the terminal on time and dare to spend money and also not delay flights, so reducing airline losses. With the unpredictable weather of Calgary, it would be a very useful feature to have weather forecast to know driving conditions on your arrival in Calgary, or departures to be expecting of weather-related delays, or holidaymakers to know what to expect when they arrive in their destination. Other apps, such as London Heathrow, seen here, allow passengers to pre-book their duty-free purchases, food and drink, so that it's ready for them when fast connections or late to the terminal. Dublin also offers the ability to book lounge access, which is another useful feature. This app could also be used to book our previously mentioned car services. An investment of approximately 70,000 to 120,000 Canadian dollars, we believe that this is well worth the investment in the long run, as it could not only improve the customer experience, but also generate revenue from local businesses, shops, and tourist destinations. We strongly believe in this idea, as we have made these designs of a possible app, and we think that it will allow Calgary Airport to continue to keep up to date with international technology trends.
When your colleagues visited us and presented the airport, they mentioned that your main aim is to develop an airport that will represent the city of Calgary well. An airport that will encourage the passengers to discover and visit the city. Another interesting fact that you mentioned in your document is that the average age of the passengers is 46 years old, and the mean salary is 132,000 Canadian dollars. Using these two facts, we assume that these people are constantly working and would like to use their time wisely. But unfortunately, in your airport, there's nowhere where they can take out their computer and work. You only have cafes and restaurants, which usually have a loud atmosphere. But here, in the airport, they'll be able to take out their computer and work in a quiet environment, with a Calgarian-style building. This library was opened November 1st, 2018, and has already 1 million visitors. And a recent study performed by Skyscanner shows that 32% of the passengers would like to see more libraries in the airports, so nearly 1 in 3 people.
The main idea of the library is that people can avail of this with. I think that we should have a library full of books and magazines that people can enjoy during the stay at the airport. If they enjoy the book, they can also buy the book or trade it for if they already own, so you have a continuous cycle of bookstore in the house. Also, people travelers can also use their library cards to return books at the book. We also have the idea of a play area for the children. Their parents can leave their children while they go to the library and do the other stuff. We think that these ideas can strongly influence the customer's satisfaction and improvement. And here's the video we have created. We will not show it.
Central Library built on 803 Street, Southeast Calgary. This beautiful library was opened on November 1st, 2018. The entire building is oval.
So I have a question for you while we're waiting. What makes you more nervous, us or those people back there?
We were quite confident group. We've been rehearsing, we were really confident.
Can tell.
Do you have the video as an MP4 file? Can you just play it separately, not in the presentation?
We had it on the computers, but not, this is a computer.
Then, Karina, do you control, when does the?
It's a map boat.
Oh, it's a map.
Perhaps we can just show it on the computer. Will it work on this?
Yeah.
Shows? Yeah, should we just like,
Yeah, bring it up. Yeah.
notes?
Bring in the.
That'll work. That's just fine. Very good. No, you're good. Just go from there.
Is the sound?
Well, the cables.
It's like the cables are locked. There's like a
Oh,
cable.
this is
That's
the.
fine.
Yeah.
As close as possible and see what happens. Can you get it closer? And by the way, you don't need to disconnect the speakers, you can still stream the sound, so. Oh, we unplug the speaker. Well, all the people in the audience for trivia, they snack out every evening to downtown to take the video, they come right past midnight, so that was, made us all a little nervous. So, and I still haven't seen the videos. Also.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's working. Yeah, good.
Central Library built on 803 Street, Southeast Calgary. This beautiful library was opened on November 1st, 2018. The entire building is oval-shaped and is elevated one floor above street level to cover a C-train light rail tunnel. Exterior is wrapped in a textured facade with translucent fritted glass panels used to shield private study areas and clear glass to make public areas viewable from the outside. The lower floors contain the library's meeting spaces and activity centers, while the upper floors feature book stacks with space for 450,000 titles and a reading room. Books can be purchased or exchanged to allow passengers to continue reading during their trip. The entire library features several environmentally friendly features, such as triple-pane windows to save energy on climate control, and finishings made of low volatile organic compound materials. The airport can take inspiration from the modern design and incorporate environmental features. The library can also feature a meeting room, providing access to a quiet space and materials, allowing group work to be performed. Personal workspaces providing power outlets, allowing people to get work and reading done. This is a potential concept for the airport library's design. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, so those are our ideas. We hope that the airport will consider implementing them, and if they do, that they will increase the revenues as well as customer satisfaction. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So you said it was hard for you to get from all of your ideas down to 4 ideas.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you my question, which is if you have to go from 4 ideas down to 1 idea that would make the biggest difference for the airport, which one do you think would be the biggest win?
So, I guess, I don't know if this is an answer to the question, but the ideas are, in fairly different categories. Like some of them involve, building a new facility, Some of them involve like making software, and then, some of them, like the one that letting people in, it just has like, you don't really make any physical changes. You just change, I guess, some of the policy of the airport. But I guess in each category, they're all like very good. But I guess it depends like how much money the airport will be willing to spend.
Okay. Anybody else want to offer? Favorite?
Well, the car maintenance service can be used maybe by everyone who has a car, and most people who are traveling, and they can just leave their car, which is like a huge benefit. They can leave it there, and it's going to be clean. So I believe that that's going to be used by a lot of people because you need to like always maintain your car. So instead of doing it while you're at work or something, you do it while you're at home.
Thank you. Chris, you can answer that financial question.
Yeah, actually I am. So first of all, really well done. I love the library concept. It's actually really, really cool. I guess I have one question about it, which is, do you envision that being something that we would charge for? Or do you envision it as more of a public service, free all access?
I personally believe that reading is really important and working, and they're already bringing revenue by coming into the airport. And by a library, I think you should just increase their customer satisfaction, and that will increase your revenue because they will want to travel to the airport. But you might earn a bit of income when people that come to read, if they like the book, which they would probably do, they will want to buy it to continue reading it during their trip. So you can buy, they will be able to purchase it for a lower price because it will be used. So that could be a way of like earning income.
Good.
You guys have really well thought out ideas, and you definitely look like you did your research, so good job.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done. You all behaved very well. Thank you. Thank you.
We're in the last three groups.
The last what?
Last three groups.
I'm out of papers. You saw that?
Oh, yeah, that.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Mohammed. Nice to meet you.
She wants to do this.
Your potential customers are having a layover in Canada. They've had enough of the playlist on the MTV, then they should pass through YYC. And here's the reason why. Us, team members from group number 30, namely Karina, Sayan, and Ahmed, and myself, Amin, have developed a 5-year proposition that we should implement 4 new tourist attractions that will enhance the revenue streams. We think that the airport should not implement one big attraction that is designed for every education, but you should start small and build a solid foundation, and over time build different attractions for all the different age groups. We're making our proposal baby steps.
Okay, so I'm going to start with a scenario. My family and I just flew into Calgary on a 7-hour flight. And oh boy, we had 8-hour layover. What should we do? I sure wish there were some options for relaxation and entertainment. Our question is, how can the YYC satisfy this customer's desire? Team 30's answer to that. First option, by setting up a movie theater. One of the most popular entertainment options, especially for families, for entertainment, is looking at a movie. Don't you agree?
Yes,
of course. So, air travel can be quite demanding and unpredictable. Why not make the experience valuable for the customer? Team 30's value proposition in our plan is enhancing the customer's overall experience through rest, relaxation, and entertainment. A movie theater at the airport is not a new idea. In fact, many international airports have implemented it. Example, the Shanghai Airport in Singapore, the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport in Minnesota, USA, the Indira Gandhi International Airport in India, the Hong Kong International Airport, the Incheon Airport, Seoul, South Korea. We did a little research and we briefly came up with what it may cost to set up a movie theater here in Calgary with two options. One, an independent setup and operation, or a franchise agreement. So, our family looked at a movie and we have some more time to go. What should we do?
So our second step to our proposal is to create a VIP luxury lounge in the Calgary International Airport. So our lounge will include all the amenities that any other lounge has, such as free Wi-Fi, hot meals, snacks, alcoholic beverages, soft drinks, and such. So we have to ask ourselves on how to differentiate our lounge from other lounges. So in this case, we are providing 5 additional amenities to differentiate our lounges, which are a sauna, a jacuzzi, a steam room, full shower facilities, and a swimming pool. So we believe that every customer must experience our luxury lounge for customer enhancement at the Calgary Airport by relaxing their muscles and joints after traveling for such a long flight. If, for example, if they're coming from an international flight, they would have been at least 6 or 7 or 8 hours flying. So they would start developing feet pain. Their necks would be hurting. They would have muscle spasms. So this way, when they enjoy our saunas and jacuzzis, they will. It's actually scientifically proven that our additional services will relieve muscle and joint pain, and in addition, that will just make them feel better in general. So some of the airports that have similar features that we are proposing to the Calgary Airport are the Dubai International Airport, the International Airport in Qatar, and the Singapore Shanghai Airport. So now we'll have to look at the cost and target market. So for those 5 amenities, we will have to spend 210,000 Canadian dollars, around 210,000 Canadian dollars. And as you can see on the chart, they're broken down from least expensive to most expensive. So customers will be able to purchase their VIP lounge tickets when they're booking their flights online, or when they're at $75 of cost, or they can book it at the lounge door of $85 based on availability. So our target market, so the age group that we're targeting will be from 45 to 64 years old customers, as they do form 61% of the Calgary International Airport travelers. So our target market, their annual income is around 132,000 Canadian dollars, which is double the provincial average income in Alberta, and it is 2.5 more times more than the national average income in Canada. So that's why we believe as our target market makes good enough of an annual income, they'll be able to afford our services.
Okay. The next, why we choose a capsule hotel? My story is I love traveling. I have been to many countries alone, such as Russia, Switzerland, Finland, Malaysia, Japan, Korea, United States. Yes. And from an economic point of view, I will choose to make a transit. So, but many flights landed at night, and I should to make it a transit in the morning. So at that time, I couldn't find a place to sleep. So I believe that you have many such as experience like me. So our group believe that capsule hotel will be a good choice for the travelers like me. There is already a capsule hotel in the airport in the Mexico City. And we found some feedback from the customers on booking.com. And they told us something about the capsule hotel, like that. It's clean, very good service, very safe at the airport, especially for women traveling alone. And from this feedback, we can know that most of the travelers love the capsule hotel. And we did some research about the construction cost. It is around the Canadian dollar 1,200 per capsule. And we could use the 4P marketing strategy, like product is a capsule hotel, and it should be inside the airport through the security area on the transit area. And the price for the travelers, like we could use the timing system and charge by hour. Example like $20 for 1 hour, and maximum charge 120 for 24 hours, like that. And it should be easy check-in in the with the AI system, and 24 hours check-in. And in this way, we can increase turnover rate and use the marketing strategy to realize the profits of YYC. And
yes, and after all this fun and entertainment, relaxation, a normal customer would definitely like to have some cultural experience as well. That is why we propose that as the last step of this progress should be an implementation of a museum facility at the airport. We know that there are facilities at the airports, like museums at the airports, like in Seoul, like the Incheon airport, but that presents the culture and the history of Korea, and it is very successful among annual more than 60 million customers. We know that there is a Hunger Flag Museum at YYC already, but our museum should definitely have a different target group and different so it should present modern art, and mostly modern art from traveling exhibitions. So it shouldn't be a static exhibition, but it should change regularly, at least yearly, and it could have the exhibition from traveling exhibitions like YANA, like the International Arts and Artists Center. I don't want to get into the details of how we got these numbers, but we would be happy to answer all of your questions afterwards. And
Okay, so these are the 4 proposals that we are offering to the Calgary International Airport to create new revenue streams within the next 5 years.
as a customer, are you traveling to Canada? You don't see no reason why you shouldn't go to YYC. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good. So you put some thought into the financials for each of your ideas. As an airport, we're often trading off, or are you thinking both of the guest experience, right, and financial benefit and cost of doing something? You had to pick one of these ideas and say, this is the one we recommend you do first, or if we could only do one, which one would you recommend and why?
So what we would do, we would go ahead with the 3 first proposals as they are not.
No, I didn't ask you 3, I said 1. Pick one.
One, we would go with the first proposal, which was the movie theater.
Okay. And why?
Okay, so we would go with the movie theater because we think it would be the simplest one to actually get running. And I think in all of the proposals that we have, the time span that the customer may have, because then we might run like 1 hour and a half thereabouts. So I think it would take less time for the customers to go through that. So I think that's the one we're going to go with first.
Okay, good, thank you.
So all of these ideas have been done before at airports. The one thing that I noticed going through the presentation here is that the smallest comparable airport that's doing any of these things that I saw was Minneapolis, and they're about 4 times our size. So my question, I guess, would be, do you foresee any issues with scaling any of these ideas from an airport that has 100 million passengers, 60 million passengers down to one that has less than 20?
So when we look at the VIP luxury lounge, we don't have to make it a huge space, just like the one in Dubai, as it's 200,000 square feet, which is just tremendously huge, right? So we can go like there's an airport in Australia that has a VIP lounge that has similar amenities that we are providing actually, and it's only 25,000 square feet. So this way, maybe we can
just right size the space.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Story, but it's naked.
This is That's what
That
I'm
sounds like a great idea, so you figure out what people would be.
And I think that 1959.
50, yes.
There was a.
What team number?
1321. All right, so my name is Allison Hampton. I'm an undergraduate student at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro with a major in consumer apparel and retail studies and a concentration in apparel design.
My name is Niko Arikainen. I am from Finland and I am a bachelor student at Estonian Business School in Helsinki, Finland. And I am majoring in marketing.
My name is Angie Guerrero. I was born in Colombia, but I live in Mexico. I graduated from international business at the Glen.
Today we will be presenting a proposal that will increase non-aeronautical revenue. That also improves customer experience and increases passenger volume.
So So have you ever asked yourself, where do I belong? This question may seem straightforward in concept. One could simply answer, I belong here.
You belong here.
We belong exactly where we are in this moment.
Similarly, we also need to remember that where we belong depends on how we adapt to our environment.
You see, innovation is fundamental and inevitable for existence itself.
If things become to go static, oftentimes life ceases to exist.
And we are always searching for more.
We yearn for something new.
To see things we've never seen before.
It is human nature to look for something that's new to us.
The invention of the internet set the foundation for the changes we are experiencing now.
Today we are on the forefront of the second enlightenment.
Virtual reality and other innovations have opened a lot of doors for us.
Marvels like the Northern Lights are now attainable.
The stars are no longer just a fragment of a distant universe.
And ancient wonders are just a decision away from us.
Where will we decide to belong? Today, we challenge the Calgary Airport Authority to refuse to remain static. We believe that in order to increase non-aeronautical revenue, we must firstly focus on the customer experience. 70% of the YYC airport traffic is domestic. Considering YYC Airport has just finished a total transformation of the international terminal, we believe that improving the domestic terminal will be most beneficial for the airport as well as the passenger. Adding to the future renovation plans that YYC has put in place for their domestic terminal would be more efficient and practical as opposed to making further changes to an already completed renovation project. Also, on average, air travel passengers spend about 100 minutes on dwell time in airports from the time that they clear security to the time they board their flight. Additionally, passengers tend to spend more money post-security checks. We would like to propose a solution that encompasses all these factors.
Alberta has many things to offer, and based on our research, we've discovered that locals are very passionate about the outdoors. Visible from Banff National Park and a site that we consider to be beyond the ordinary are the enchanting Northern Lights. Our idea is to excite passengers with sites and experiences that are only accessible through traveling through YYC Airport, which ties everything back to you. We all know that traveling can be stressful, and we want to create a more positive experience for passengers, as well as relieve stress and allow them to enjoy their time in the airport. By giving them a taste of what Alberta has to offer, we hope to allow them to want to stay in the area or travel to Alberta in the future.
Also, with evolution and innovation, a lot of technology has been developed, and we want to also remind ourselves that about the human interaction part. So we would like YYC to join the technology wave. And we also believe that social media has created a link between the human interaction and the technology. So like creating concepts like Instagrammable or ultimate selfie space that have created an impact and that can be used to influence customers to come back to the airport afterwards.
With a 5-year plan of action, we would first recommend implementing a 3D tour of the airport terminals to create an easier method for navigating throughout the building for passengers. This would also be in response to what we see as an immediate need given the nature of passenger reviews and personal experiences. This new technology will also lead to the next stage of our proposal, which would be virtual reality kiosks to further engage with passengers and improve their experience by focusing on Albertan attractions and beginning with the Northern Lights. These kiosks would be placed in various locations throughout the domestic terminals, displaying images of the Northern Lights and letting passengers become excited about the coming attractions. Finally, we recommend opening a live experience space within the domestic terminal to display these Northern Lights attractions on a grander scale. With the start of the 5-year, in the first year, we would implement the 3D airport tours. This idea of a digital tour will introduce this new technology to passengers and facilitate a more positive experience. While using this tour, promotional ads and pop-ups for the future virtual reality experiences will be displayed, and information will be given to passengers about this. Since the idea of walk-through retail spaces are so successful in airports, we also wanted to implement this concept into our proposal as well by creating arches that connect these VR kiosks to the virtual reality headsets. And while this is ongoing, the virtual reality kiosks and the technology behind it will be in development, and the first year will conclude with the opening of the kiosks, as well as with the path that will allow the passengers to explore the attractions.
So the second year will start with the generation of revenue with the VR kiosks. This all while we are building the live space for the museum and promoting the live space also.
With the third year comes the inauguration of the live experience space, with one of the main promotional channels being social media influencers. By this point, the VR kiosk will have been in operation for about a year, and the introduction of a souvenir shop to go along with this would be relevant, as well as will cater to customers' interest in the attraction and generate more revenue for the airport.
For the fourth year, we'll want to innovate again and add a new exhibit to the live experience. The idea of the new exhibits is to expose other Calgarian alternate sites that the passengers can only get to through YYC Airport. This could be through a sponsorship or a partnership with local parties, interested parties. Also, since passengers have already been experiencing the museum and the kiosks, we could now introduce membership rights for local frequent flyers or members of partner airlines.
Year 5 will start with the addition of a third exhibit space, and at this point, YYC could choose to begin introducing kiosks where partners or sponsors could start to promote and sell their own brands, and tours to the attractions that are being shown within the exhibits.
Since we know the airport is budget conscious, our idea is not only for the experience to be visually appealing, but also it will be profitable. All of the experiences offered, except for the 3D tour, will come at a charge. For this, we researched how much passengers pay for comparable experiences in other airports, with an average of 27.5 Canadian dollars. Other possible income sources will be souvenirs, professional pictures in the live experience, and an extra fee for the additional seasonal exhibits. Main implementation costs for the projects include the development of the 3D tour, the VR experience, and the live experience display, along with infrastructure costs such as the kiosks and the live experience space, amongst others. We would recommend hiring an expert to have someone available in-house for all the VR and live experience content instead of contracting work from third-party suppliers. These numbers are all relative and contingent on the already planned domestic renovations and other prices that would be more specific to the airport than what we were able to gather.
So in conclusion, Team 21 suggests that in order to increase non-aeronautical revenue, the airport takes advantage of technology and social media to improve customer experience, to offer sites, to hook them up with sites that are only accessible through the YYC airport, and so that they would possibly want to come back not only to the airport, but to all over.
We strive to captivate passengers with the beauty of Alberta and create a sense of belonging within this area and the airport.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question for you with these ideas. Of course, we have arriving passengers, departing passengers, connecting passengers. Who would be most interested? Like what's our number one target audience if we go with these ideas?
Domestic arrivals.
Domestic arrivals, so Canadians arriving in Calgary.
Or flights that have come from another domestic airport into Calgary. So I know that I've had connections from Vancouver to Calgary, so I would be coming through domestic terminals. I'm from the US, so anyone coming through domestic terminals, obviously, especially Albertans, but definitely international passengers as well.
At what point in the passenger journey do you think that people would use that 3D airport tour from year one?
Everywhere, like from when you land to, it could be in where you receive your luggage, or they can be outside. Like we really wanted to introduce that and add that to the project because a lot of us got lost, and we tried to use a map that you already have, and like most of us, like it didn't work for us, and we saw a lot of reviews and also wanted that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So it's my understanding that we are the last team to present to you, so that's quite good. My name is Brianne Belenki. I'm from the United States.
My name is George. I am from Ghana.
I'm Sarah from Croatia.
Sebastian from Colombia. Nabil from Pakistan.
So we are Team 9, aka the Air Stampeders. For the next 10 to 12 minutes, we're going to present to you two ideas that not only has the potential to increase revenue within the YYC airport, but also increase brand equity as well. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Sebastian, who's going to introduce this idea.
All right, so right now we have a graphic. It shows the non-aeronautical revenue. This was a survey done by airports in the US. I know it's not Canada, but they're quite similar in somehow. So we found that these are part of the others activities from non-aeronautical revenue, almost reaches 25%. So we think that our ideas could fit perfectly on this part in order to get some revenue from them. So I'm going to head with my colleague George. He's going to explain our first idea, sorry.
Okay, so our first idea is the mini art gallery. And in mini art gallery, we tend to focus on handling travelers on the go through YYC, the first-hand experience of Calgary. And when we say that, what we mean is to come up with three main strategies to set up these mini art galleries in the airport area, particularly the international area. Now, our first is to provide local art in visible walkways. And we are clear in our minds that visible walkways give a lot of attraction to everything you want to do. And so in the walkway area, which you will see in the next slide, we provide art galleries. And the second one is we display our artworks through the duty-free stores. And yes, duty-free stores are very good part of these revenue generating activities in the airport. And then on our third point, we would have guides, people who take travelers and hand them first-hand information about Calgary. You don't need to come to Calgary, enter Calgary to understand what Calgary has. Right in the airport, you have Calgary, and somebody takes you through, guides you through to understand why Calgary has this culture and what is behind this. Now, these are some of the pictures. This is the one on my right is the walkway gallery we intend to do. People just walk through and engage themselves. So the one on my left is where people has a lot of time, wait time at the airport, and then go stand, get education, get information about what Calgary has for them. Okay, so what mini art gallery will achieve for us? One, it will increase revenues because we realized that relatively we have increased wait time, transit time compared to other busy airports. So in effect, you tend to have a lot of people waiting a lot more time, which we feel that we can engage them through art. And so that naturally will come, people get engaged and then you hand them mini art and then they buy. So that's a form of revenue. Our second one is where we feel that airport transit experience will be enhanced. And then that in a way reduces fatigue. People have to sit down for 4 hours and not engaged. And then our last one for this particular idea is learning that makes international travelers want to come and see more. And so that is Canada, that is Calgary in the airport, and you don't need to come in. And so I'll hand over to my colleague to continue from here.
All right, so the next part we have is our main idea. We bring two for you. So this is a comparison chart about the airport services. I mean, in this part, we're going to check resting areas primarily. So we have that these different airports, some are more international, some are local from Canada, as Montreal and Vancouver. So what we try to do with this is compare how these airports offer different resting areas for passengers during transit time. So we found that, well, almost all of them have comfortable areas or areas designated to this apart, and somehow they have some chairs or some benches that passengers could use to it. But we found also that the only one that is trying something different is the Dubai, because they have some small cabins in which customers or passengers could get into and rest for the transit time. It depends. They offer from 1 hour up to the hours that the transit time dures. So we also included the luggage safety and nearby hotels as factors that could affect this apart. So right now we're going to go ahead and explain you what the sleeping pods is.
So as my colleague already introduced, we're talking about the high standard sleeping pods. We believe that this idea could generate revenue. How? So as we know, there's a lot of international passengers going to the YYC airport. They're in transit flight, and we not also that we want to in revenue, but we also want to give them like some comfort to relax, to sleep, and to wait for the next flight. So this is designed sleeping pods that we saw in famous and innovative airports like Dubai. We start with 2 hours till 5 hours of usage, in order not to take a hotel room because it's less time in this shorter period. And yeah, this is practically for the good, yeah, the rest. And so to execute this plan, we thought of a strategy, how to create this idea. So we have 4 points. First one, we need to have a designated area for the setup. So particularly we thought of putting it in the international terminal. And the second one, we thought of the supplier. So we thought of glue pods, the location, so the location is in Dubai. They have features like LED lights that could adjust with their mood, so if they need to sleep or just rest. And also they have TV, Wi-Fi access, and other media. So, and they are in number 3, so that they could be like for an individual, so a single capsule, or like a more box shape for a family size. So, for the home. And so, advertising. How will we advertising? We thought of collaborating with our airline companies when it's on the flight, 30 minutes before landing, to announce that we have this service for our clients. Yeah, I'm gonna.
So as my colleagues mentioned earlier, the Dubai International Airport is already using these pods. So in Dubai, we see that the 63% of the passengers are in transit compared to YYC Airport, where 30% are in transit as well. So now the bar chart on your left, you can see that from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., that's like after midnight, the consumption of the pods is at 100%. Like each pod is occupied compared to the time at 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., which is 70%. So there's a chance that the product that we're introducing at this airport, there's a high chance of growth as well. And the growth in this pod will lead to more revenue. Now, as my colleague mentioned, that the time spent in the pod can range from 2 to 5 hours. Now, the basic idea of introducing the pod is so that the passengers that are in transit for like 4 hours or 3 hours, they can actually get a good sleep, a good comfort sleep, rather than taking a hotel, because a hotel is comparatively more expensive than a pod. And we have mentioned the price later on. One more thing is that an average transit time in Dubai is 60 minutes, but an average transit time at the YYC airport is 100 minutes. So that gives us the motivation or to take this initiative, because it's going to be efficient as well if you introduce it. So any idea that you have to implement, it has to have its pros and cons before you put it into effect. So I'm going to discuss the pros here first. Firstly, it is scientifically proven that a 20-minute nap can increase your efficiency, productivity, can increase your decision making, give you creative ideas, and even it's good for your health. So the sleeping pods will tend to increase the consumer, to increase the passenger's thinking level or his decision making time. The second thing that I want to add is it's going to add to the revenue. Now, sleeping pod tends to cost around $13,000. Now, how do we recover that? We charge the $15 fees for the first hour. Now, we're going to put in a step pricing for the first few months. Like you're going to pay $15 for the first hour, then you can pay $13 for the second hour, and then $10 for the third hour, so that it motivates them to actually use the service. Now, how do we break even from that? We break even from that. If you use it efficiently for 24 hours a day, you can break even 36 days. If you use it at a lesser scale, the time will increase. Now, the higher footfall near the pods, it's gonna lead to an increase in the footfall at the existing areas as well, the activities and the retail store as well. Now we come to the cons. Now, $13,000 for one pod is too much. Now, if it fails, it's going to be a hectic job for the airport to recover their expense. Secondly, we see that there are 2 international airports there. Now, they can give you a tough time because they're going to charge you with disruptive pricing. They're going to offer passenger discounts so that they could so that they could use it as their both substitutes, the hotels and sleeping pods. Now, the pods have a really high maintenance cost. Adding to that, it can serve only one person at a time. It's a pod that can only serve one person at a time. 2 people can't use it. So all in one, if you're looking at the sleeping pod, we have to weigh the advantages and the disadvantages. And if the advantages go up, then obviously we should choose it. Now my colleague.
Yes, so with all of this being said, we already know that the YYC airport has experienced a lot of growth in the past couple of years. You know, this is due to its new international terminal and of course the improvements being made in 2020 We believe that these ideas can be innovative for the YYC airport and create customer added value and also, create more revenue. And those are the two most important things that we're trying to achieve in this process with these two ideas. So with that being said, that pretty much wraps up our presentation, and we'd like to open up the floor to questions. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So 2 ideas, that's courageous. You only have 2. If you had to pick one, which one do you think would make the biggest impact on the airport?
Sleeping toilets.
Sleeping toilets?
Yeah.
Okay, why?
I think it's really innovative, and a lot of like Dubai is a great airport. It's known for being high quality airport, and I think it's something that sets you apart in a way, especially for its international travelers. Specifically, I had a layover in Amsterdam for like 4 hours on my way to Kenya from Atlanta, and it would have been great to have a place to sleep for that amount of time, except that I had an uncomfortable bench. But
Well,
my opinion.
to add to what she said, I think data supports this idea, because in Dubai you have an average of 60 minutes of wait time. In Calgary you have more than that, and essentially what that means is that you encourage people to enjoy their transit time, their transit wait, and that is why I would go for that, because the data available would readily support that very idea.
Quick question then for me. Are you concerned that the sleeping pods could cannibalize revenue if people are sleeping rather than shopping? They want to find out all the over and spend time in the pods. Is there a possibility that, and could you use pricing to net that out?
We believe that maybe if there were shops surrounded by, near the sleeping pods, people would go in, buy hygiene items, buy things that they would need to, spend that time, I guess. So if there's high footfall around the area, then we would assume that they would go into the shops, and kind of do both in a way. Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Have a good day.
I didn't have that presented for that.
Hi.
Everybody's not a judge has got to leave. Oh, did you stay for all of them, Farrah?
I'm sorry?
Did you stay for all of them here?
Not all of them.
I have to throw you out. I got to throw the ambassadors out. Jocelyn gets to pick the winner.
Yeah.
That's good.
Just stop.